Hello everybody and welcome back, dear 1000 Pairs TV friends. For now, I am still in the hotel set on the fully revised Moto Guzzi V85 TT, but I will ride it for the first time soon, and if you're interested, stay tuned. Even though the Moto Guzzi V85 TT has only been around since 2019, in my eyes it's already a classic. At least a classically beautiful adventure bike, and now it's been completely overhauled for the 2024 model year. And I'd say before we go, let's take a look at what has changed. It starts with the engine, which now features variable valve timing and has 80 horsepower again. I say again because back in the beginning in 2019, it also produced 80 horsepower. The 853cc 90 degrees V-twin with the various emission regulations became weaker and weaker, so much so that it eventually produced only 76 horsepower. Now we have 80 horsepower again, available at 7,750 RPM, and 83 Newton meters, already available at 5,100 RPM. A visible sign that something has changed in the engine is the new cylinder head cover, and the engine not only has variable valve timing, but now also has two knock sensors, one for each cylinder. On the one hand, this should have a positive effect on the smoothness of the ride, and on the other hand, it is possible to use lower quality petrol if you're traveling in the middle of nowhere. This should definitely be a useful update. And what are the other new features? At first glance, the windscreen, which can now be easily adjusted by hand in a range of 70 mm and in 5 different positions. This is also a step forward compared to the previous model, where a tool was needed to adjust it to different tilt positions. So now it is up to date, as is the 5-inch TFT color display, which the V85 shares with the Stelvio and the V100 Mandello. Previously we had a 4.3-inch TFT color display. The controls may at first glance not look as elegant as before, but they are certainly more functional and better designed. Also, for the first time on the V85 TT, we have an IMU, a lean angle sensor, which in turn means that we now also have cornering ABS and traction control depending on the lean angle. Not in all models, however. There are 3 different models of the V85. The V85 TT is the standard model, which is the one I have here in front of me. Cheaper and without IMU is the V85 Strada, and the most expensive model is the V85 Travel. The visible novelties are also these cast aluminum parts here and the bolt-on rear frame, which give the whole thing a slightly better look and make the bike a little lighter. We also have the front section with a different shape, which is said to have improved aerodynamics. The new handguards should also contribute to this. We'll take a look at all this during the test ride to see if it really works as the Moto Guzzi people told us. The engine guard has also been modified. The brakes have become lighter and they're using Brembo brakes. The engineers told us yesterday that the old front simply caused a lot of turbulence on the upper body. With these modifications, they have tried to improve the situation. And let's now take a closer look at the 3 models. The Strada, which already mentioned, does not have an IMU and has only 3 riding modes: road, sport and rain. It has cast aluminum wheels for the first time, making the Strada the lightest of the 3 variants at 226 kilos. The TT and Travel weigh 230 kilos in running order. The TT and Travel also have an off-road riding mode. The riding modes do not differ in terms of performance, so the power is always the same. However, the throttle response is different. The behavior of the traction control and ABS is different, which is deactivated on the rear wheel in off-road mode. The ABS can also be deactivated at the front. This means it is also very suitable for steep off-road descents, where you simply don't want to have ABS. Now they didn't let things half-cooked. The TT and Travel also have these new handguards, which are not available on the Strada. The Travel also has a larger windscreen, heated grips and a heated seat as standard, and also a luggage set with 2 aluminum cases as standard. 37 liters of space on the right and 27.5 liters on the left, so you can really get on and go on an adventure. But let's briefly talk about the prices. The V85 Strada costs 11,200 UK pounds, the V85 TT 12,000 pounds, and the Travel 13,300 UK pounds. So, we're back from our tour, and let me be the first to answer the most important question. Is this a real Moto Guzzi? Absolutely, it is a Guzzi. The engine is really there. I always liked and I still like, or rather, I always loved and I still love an air-cooled V2 like this. It has something very special. Of course, every motorbike has an engine, but on a Moto Guzzi the engine is something special. And if you ask now, what are the differences compared to the previous model? I have to say that the engine as a whole seems a bit more present. It is clear that before we had 76 horsepower, now it's 80 horsepower, but I think it has grown a little bit as a whole, without losing any of its character. On the contrary, it is simply more powerful and stronger from the bottom up. And if you say the predecessor was already fun, then this one is even more fun. And the roads re-rode inland in Almeria with endless curves and so on are really tailor-made for this bike. With the 19-inch front wheel and the 17-inch rear wheel, it steers extremely agile, surprisingly so. You get the feeling that you're riding a bike that is way lighter than the 230 kilograms in running order that it weighs. I had the pleasure of riding all three models extensively, namely the Strada, TT and Travel. And just before, an American colleague told me that the Strada is even more agile because it has cast wheels. Now, I would be wary of that. In theory, yes, but it's not so easy to feel that. I would rather attribute it to the tires. We have Dunlop Trailmax Meridian tires as standard on the Strada and Travel. It is a wonderful tire that really flexes on the road. It can also cope with rain without a doubt. And here on the TT we have the Michelin Anarchy Adventure. It is a tire that if you're not used to it, it's a bit rougher. You steer with a bit more difficulty than the Meridian, but you can change it anyways. And personally, I think the Michelin Anarchy Adventure is a bit better for this type of bike, because it simply offers more reserves when things get more difficult, when you maybe really get into a gravel road and so on. And the bike is really capable of doing that. We have 170 millimeters of suspension travel at the front and rear. That's not the most, but it's enough. In other words, a very fun bike to ride and suitable for all roads, especially for difficult roads. You can adjust the rebound and preload of both the front fork and the shock. The TT and Travel now have a small valve to adjust the preload. On the Strada, which is a bit slimmer, you need tools to adjust it. But I have the same adjustment options on all three models. The 5-inch display is really easy to read. Not only is it bigger than the previous model, but it's also a bit closer to the rider, a bit higher and closer overall. And that is very, very good. The operation is very intuitive. You can quickly change the riding modes. And if you click on these three arrows, you are very, very quickly in the menu and can then adjust each riding mode individually. The riding modes differ in terms of throttle response, engine braking, traction control, and ABS intensity. In off-road mode, for example, traction control is weaker. Of course, it is stronger in rain mode. And you can really feel the differences between the riding modes, and you can even configure one yourself. So it also has a user mode where you can set everything up yourself. It's very, very successful, as I think the whole bike looks and is very successful. And with the three models, there really is something for everyone. I would say that the Strada is perhaps more suitable for people who ride in urban areas, who ride to work, who maybe go for a ride outside the city once in a while, but who don't necessarily have any big trips planned. The TT can do whatever the heart desires, and the Travel, the same as the TT, only it has more features with heated grips, heated seat, a bigger windscreen than the Travel. This windscreen rises a lot, whereas the one on the Travel rises even more so and has these spoilers at the bottom. The wind protection is really perfect. Comfort is very, very important on this bike, not only in terms of wind protection, but also in terms of seating comfort, with the 830mm seat height, which is really good for long rides. Nothing hurts at all. You don't slide back and forth with your bum. It is neither too hard nor too soft, just as a saddle should be. The saddle height is accessible. The knee angle is also quite comfortable for me at 5'9" or 175 centimeters. I can't say, but maybe the cylinder might be annoying for taller people. Of course, you'll have to try it out yourself, but I find the wind protection and the riding position very, very comfortable, very, very balanced. And for me, the windscreen on the TT and the Strada is definitely sufficient. But those who really want the complete package should choose the Travel, which offers even better wind protection, which also offers panniers and everything else. Just as there is a very wide range of accessories, 39 accessories in total, whether you want comfort parts or protective parts, there really is something for almost everyone. However, there's one thing missing, and I have to make a small criticism there. There is no quick shifter available, not even as an accessory. And that would go very, very well with a bike like this. Sadly, it is not available as an option. The gearbox is not a Japanese gearbox, it's a bit rougher and jittery, especially in the lower gears. But I would say it's suitable for a bike like this. It's full of character. It doesn't have to be all that smooth and perfect. And I think people who buy a Moto Guzzi also want that. They want the character of the engine and the gearbox, and this has really improved over the first model. I also rode the 2019 version in comparison at the time, and the engine has really improved. This is practically the only bike featuring a Cardan shaft in this category of bikes. You don't need to grease the chain or tighten it, you just ride. And in my opinion, you don't notice any change in load when riding. Maybe a little bit when you start, there's this feeling similar to when you use an elevator, but it's minimal. It's fine, it's really fine. And apart from that, I can't really criticize anything. Now, if you liked the video, give me a thumbs up, write in the comments below what you think of the Guzzi V85 TT. For me, it's a great all-rounder. I'd be really interested to know what you think of the changes, the variable valve timing, and the gain in comfort in terms of wind protection. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.